Hi everyone, welcome back to Astral Card Vault. We're going to see who is in your energy and why this person is coming through so strongly. This feels like someone who misjudged you badly. And now that you're not chasing, not explaining, not proving anything, they're angry, silent, and watching your glow up. And with this first card coming through as the Empress, I have to say, this is already loud. This is someone who underestimated your softness. They underestimated your beauty, your patience, your ability to grow through what was meant to break you. They may have assumed you would stay stuck. They may have thought you would keep waiting by the emotional door with the porch light on, hoping they came back with crumbs. But your silence is louder than any argument you could have given them. And I feel like that silence is bothering them. Not because you're doing anything dramatic, not because you're posting for revenge or trying to get their attention. It's because your energy changed. You're not moving like someone begging to be chosen anymore. You're moving like someone who remembered they were the garden, not the gardener. So we're going to see who this is, what they're angry about, what they want to say, why they're silent, why they're watching, and what their next action may be. It's general, so only take what resonates. This may not be for everyone, but if you've been feeling someone hovering around your energy, quietly watching but refusing to speak, this could be your message. Let's see what's in their energy. Interesting, because the Empress is not just glow up. The Empress is value. The Empress is presence. The Empress is someone who doesn't have to chase attention because attention naturally turns toward them. And what I'm getting here is that this person did not see your value clearly when they had access to you. They saw your kindness and thought it meant weakness. They saw your patience and thought it meant you would tolerate anything. They saw your love and somehow convinced themselves it would always be available. But here's the thing. Now they're seeing you from a distance, and distance is making the truth sharper. They're realizing you were rare, not loud rare, not performative rare, quietly rare, deeply rare, the kind of rare people recognize after they lose the privilege of being close. And that's why I want to go a little deeper here, because the way they misjudged you was not small. It feels like they misunderstood the very thing that made you valuable. Okay, and look at this. We have the Seven of Pentacles coming through. Interesting, because this is already telling me something. This person misjudged your patience. They misjudged the time you gave. They misjudged the emotional investment. They looked at you waiting, caring, nurturing, trying to understand, and they thought, oh, this person needs me. This person is going to stay right here. But what I'm getting here is that you weren't waiting because you had no options. You were waiting because you were giving something time to grow. There is a difference, a very big difference. With the Empress and now the Seven of Pentacles, your energy feels like someone who planted love with intention. You were not moving randomly. You were not being weak. You were not just attached. You were trying to see if this connection, this person, this situation could actually become something stable, something honest, something real. And for some of you, this person mistook that as dependency. They thought because you were kind, you would keep giving. They thought because you were patient, you would keep waiting. They thought because you didn't immediately cut them off, you didn't have the strength to walk away. And that is where they misread you badly, because your softness was never weakness. It was self-possession. You knew how to love without making noise. You knew how to care without demanding a stage. You knew how to stay calm when someone else was being inconsistent. But here's the thing. Calm does not mean clueless. Patient does not mean powerless. Loving someone does not mean you have abandoned yourself. And I feel like this person is realizing that now. They may have expected you to break. They may have expected you to beg. They may have expected you to explain yourself over and over until they finally felt important enough. They may have expected you to sit there, watching the same empty soil, hoping one day they would finally become what they promised. But instead, you turned your attention back to your own garden, and that is the part that's bothering them. Because you didn't just leave, you grew. You became stronger without giving them access to the process. They didn't get to see every tear. They didn't get to hear every prayer. They didn't get to witness every private moment where you had to choose yourself. But now they see the result, and that result is not quiet anymore. It's showing up in your energy, in your movement, in the way you carry yourself now. So let's look at what part of your glow up is bothering them the most. Because this next energy feels personal, and look at what comes out, the Chariot. Okay, this is very interesting because the Chariot is movement, direction, control, forward motion, and I feel like this is exactly what is bothering them. You did not just sit in the energy they left you in, you took the reins back. This person may have expected you to be emotionally scattered. They may have expected you to spiral, to chase, to post things just to get a reaction, to keep circling around them energetically. But what I'm getting here is that your growth became focused. Your energy became cleaner. You started moving differently. And that is what collapsed their old perception of you. They thought they knew how you would respond. They thought they had you figured out. They thought your heart made you predictable. But the Chariot is telling me that something in you clicked. Something said, "No, I'm not staying parked in a place where I was not valued." For some of you, this glow up is emotional. You're calmer. You're not reacting the way you used to. For others, this is physical, social, financial, spiritual, or energetic. Maybe you look better. Maybe you feel lighter. Maybe people are noticing you more. Maybe your confidence is coming back in a way that even you didn't expect. And I'm going to read this two ways, because I feel two storylines here. For many of you, this feels like someone you had history with, a breakup, separation, no contact, or a connection that became painful because someone did not choose properly when they had the chance. They may have thought your love would keep you attached, even if they were inconsistent, and now they're watching you move forward without asking for permission. For others, this could be someone who never truly had access to you, but they formed an opinion anyway. They judged from a distance. They assumed you were one type of person, maybe too soft, too quiet, too emotional, too available, too easy to overlook. And now that they're seeing your actual energy, they're realizing they were wrong. But here's the thing. The Chariot also tells me they're trying to act like they are in control of themselves, like they're detached, like they're not checking, like your name, your face, your energy, your movement does not pull their attention, but their attention keeps circling back to you. And that's what makes this feel so interesting, because this is not just curiosity. There is a reason their focus keeps returning to you, even while they are trying to look unaffected. So now let's see what is happening underneath all of that watching. And now we have judgment coming through. Interesting. Okay, this is getting specific. Because judgment is not casual energy. Judgment is review, reflection, realization. It is that moment where someone cannot keep sleeping on the truth anymore. And with this card coming after the Chariot, I feel like your movement forward woke something up in them. This person may be watching, but not in a way that feels relaxed. This feels like someone checking because your glow-up is forcing them to reevaluate the story they told themselves about you. They may be looking at your social media. They may be watching stories but not reacting for some of you. They are asking mutual people about you in a very indirect way, trying to make it sound casual, like, "Oh, how are they doing?" or "Have you heard from them?" But underneath that question, there is so much more. Take what resonates, because for some of you, this is not direct watching. This could be old messages they keep rereading, old photos, old memories. They may be replaying your voice, the way you used to show up, the things you said that they brushed off at the time. Judgment can be that inner alarm going off, where suddenly all the little moments they ignored start coming back louder. And this person is not as detached as they want you to believe. They may be silent, but their energy is not gone. They may not be liking the post, but they saw it. They may not be saying your name, but they notice when your name comes up. They may act like they have moved on, but something about your energy keeps calling them back into review. Because here's the thing. They are not just watching because they want drama. They are watching because you became proof. Proof that they misjudged you. Proof that your kindness was not weakness. Proof that your patience was not desperation. Proof that your glow-up is real and not just a phase. And I feel like that is what makes them uncomfortable. They can no longer keep the version of you that made them feel innocent. They cannot say, "You were too emotional," or "You needed too much," or "You would never move on," because now your life is answering without you even speaking. They misjudged you, and now they are angry, silent, watching, and realizing they were wrong. But that anger, it does not feel simple. It feels like there is more underneath it than they are admitting. So now I want to look at what they are actually angry about, because this anger feels layered. Okay, and now we have the Two of Pentacles. And this makes sense. This makes a lot of sense, because this is someone trying to juggle two versions of themselves. One version wants to act like they're fine, like they don't care, like they made the right choice, like they're completely in control. And the other version knows the truth. The other version knows they misjudged you. This is important. I don't feel their anger is truly aimed at you. I feel this person is angry with themselves. Because with the Two of Pentacles, there is this emotional back and forth. 1 minute they may be convincing themselves, no, I'm good. I don't need to say anything. I don't need to reach out. I don't need to look. And then the next minute, they're checking, thinking, remembering, feeling that pressure come back up again. They're trying to balance pride and regret. And that is not comfortable. What I'm getting here is that this person may have judged you unfairly because it was easier than admitting what they felt. It was easier to label you as too much, too emotional, too available, too patient, too forgiving, than to look at themselves and say, maybe I didn't know how to receive something real. For some of you, they did not express themselves. They kept their feelings tucked away. They acted colder than they felt. They made you question where you stood, and then when you pulled your energy back, they still expected you to somehow understand them without them having to explain anything. But here's the thing. You stopped carrying both sides of the connection. You stopped being the one who understood, waited, forgave, softened, reached, explained, and made room. And now they are feeling the weight of what you used to balance for them. That is why the anger feels layered. It is not just anger. It is embarrassment. It is guilt. It is frustration. It is the pressure of realizing they created distance with someone who actually cared. They know they were unfair. They know they misread you. They know they let something rare slip into silence. And the hardest part for them is that you are not loudly proving a point. You are quietly becoming the point. So now that this regret is showing up, I want to see what keeps replaying in their mind. Because whatever they are holding on to, it feels connected to a chance they did not value when it was right in front of them. And look at this, Ace of Pentacles. Okay, this is very telling, because the Ace of Pentacles is a seed, a real chance, something that could have become stable if it had been cared for properly. And what I'm getting here is that this person keeps replaying the opportunity they had with you, not just the connection, the opportunity. They keep thinking about the moments where they could have shown up differently, the moments where they could have been honest, the moments where they could have chosen maturity instead of pride. For some of you, they had a real chance to build something with you, something grounded, something safe, something that did not have to become this silent, distant, complicated energy. But they delayed, they doubted, they dismissed. And now the Ace of Pentacles feels like that little seed sitting in their hand after the season has changed. They are looking at it like, I could have planted this. I could have done something with this. I could have treated this as valuable when it was right in front of me. This is where the replaying comes in. They may be replaying conversations where you were trying to be clear and they acted like they didn't understand. They may be replaying the times you gave them patience, and they used that patience as more time to avoid responsibility. They may be remembering how you cared, how you checked in, how you tried to make room for them emotionally, and now they are realizing they took that emotional labor for granted. They are realizing you were not the problem. They are realizing you were the person who actually cared. They are realizing your absence has weight, and that is why your glow-up is hitting them differently. Because your glow-up is not performance. It is not you pretending to be okay. It is the result of healing. It is the result of choosing yourself after being emotionally underpaid for too long. But here's the thing. I feel like they expected your silence to be temporary. They thought you would eventually come back around. Soften again, explain again, open the door again. But now your silence has become a boundary, and that boundary is making them understand the value of the access they lost. The Ace of Pentacles says they are seeing the potential after the fact, and that is a very uncomfortable realization. Because now they know the seed was real. They know the chance was real. They know your heart was real. And when someone realizes that after the door feels different, there are usually things they wish they could say. So let's look at what would come through if their pride was not standing at the door. And now we have the Ten of Cups. Okay, this is emotional. Because the Ten of Cups is not small feelings. This is not just attraction. This is not just curiosity. This is the part of them that knows there was emotional fulfillment here, or at least the possibility of it. And that may be exactly why their pride is so loud right now, because the deeper the feeling, the harder they try to cover it. What I'm getting here is that if this person could speak without ego, without fear, without needing to look unaffected, the first thing coming through is, I judged you before I understood you. And that feels important, because they did not take the time to really understand your heart. They reacted to what they assumed. They reacted to their own fears. They reacted to the version of you that made it easier for them to stay guarded. And then I'm hearing, I thought you would always be there. That one has weight, because this is exactly what we were seeing before. They thought your patience meant permanence. They thought your love would keep holding the door open. They thought the emotional home you created would always be available, even if they kept walking in and out of it. But here's the thing. The Ten of Cups is showing me that they miss the feeling of being emotionally safe with you, even if they didn't admit it, even if they acted like it didn't matter, even if they made you feel like your care was ordinary. And now this message comes through, I acted like I didn't care, but I watched everything. Interesting, because that connects right back to judgment. They saw more than they let on. They noticed your changes. They noticed your silence. They noticed when your energy stopped reaching for them. They may be embarrassed by how much they still notice, because noticing you means they are not as detached as they pretend to be. And then we have, your silence is making me face myself. That is the real confession underneath all of this. Your silence is not empty to them. It is a mirror. It is making them sit with what they did not say, what they did not value, what they misread, what they lost access to. And finally, I'm angry because I know I was wrong. There it is. They misjudged you. They tried to act cold. They tried to stay silent, but your glow-up has become impossible to dismiss. And when all of that is sitting underneath the surface, it makes the silence even more interesting, because if they feel this much, if they are seeing this much, then the next question is obvious. Why are they still silent? And now we have the Four of Wands. Okay, this is interesting, because the Four of Wands usually has that feeling of home, stability, a doorway, a place where someone could step in and be welcomed. But in this reading, I feel like this is exactly why they're silent, because approaching you now would mean stepping towards something real, and real requires honesty. This person may be silent because they do not know how to come back toward your energy without exposing how affected they are. They can watch from a distance, they can think, they can wonder, they can pretend they are just curious, but actually speaking to you would require them to cross a threshold. And I feel like that threshold is intimidating. They're trying to stay controlled. They may be trying to appear logical, calm, cold, or unbothered. Like, no, I'm fine. I'm not affected. I'm not thinking about this. But underneath that, there is overthinking. There is fear of what you might say. Fear that you will see through them. Fear that you will not respond the way you used to. Because remember, they misjudged you. They misjudged the version of you that was open. They misjudged the version of you that was patient. They misjudged the version of you that made emotional space for them. And now, they are dealing with a version of you that feels more grounded, more self-contained, more protective of your peace. They don't want to look vulnerable. For some of you, this person wants the comfort of your energy without having to take accountability for how they handled it. The Four of Wands can represent wanting access again, wanting warmth again, wanting that sense of we're okay again. But they may not know how to get there without admitting that they are the reason the door feels different now. This is someone who wants information without exposing emotion. They may be watching but not speaking, viewing but not liking, asking without making it obvious. sitting with memories of what your energy felt like, but still trying to keep their pride polished and untouched. But here's the thing. Silence can show fear, but silence does not automatically equal maturity. Their silence may explain something, but it does not excuse everything. And your silence is protection, not a performance. You are not being cold. You are not being dramatic. You are no longer leaving every window open for someone who kept refusing to knock properly. Still, silence can only hold so much pressure. And when someone keeps circling the same doorway in their mind, something eventually gives. So now I want to see their next move. And what comes out is the Hermit. Okay, interesting. Because if we're asking about their next move, the Hermit does not feel like someone rushing in loudly. This feels like someone sitting with the lantern on, trying to figure out what the right move even is. They are in their head. They are watching from a distance. They are studying the situation before they step forward. And I know that may sound frustrating, because a lot of you are probably like, okay, but are they going to say something or not? I do feel communication for many of you, but with the Hermit, it may not start as a huge confession. It may not come in with all the emotional honesty you deserve right away. This could be something small, something careful, something that feels almost too casual for how much energy is sitting underneath it. A check-in, a reaction, a simple question, a message that looks harmless on the surface. But what I'm getting here is that the energy behind it is bigger than the message itself. Because the Hermit is someone who has been alone with their thoughts, alone with the silence, alone with the realization that they misjudged you badly. And in that quiet space, they are seeing things they could avoid before. They are seeing where they dismissed you. They are seeing where they underestimated your strength. They are seeing that your glow-up did not require their permission, their applause, or their closure. For some of you, they may come in indirectly first. They may test the waters. They may ask something that does not seem emotional. But the real question underneath is, do I still have access to you? They want to know if your warmth is still there. They want to know if your door is completely closed. They want to know if you still feel anything. But here's the thing. The Hermit also says they know they cannot just come in any kind of way. Not with the version of you they are seeing now. Not with this Empress energy. Not with this Chariot energy. Not with someone who has learned how to protect their peace. So yes, there is movement here. But it feels cautious, quiet, thought out. Like someone walking toward a door and stopping before they knock. And I want you to remember, potential is not proof. A message is not automatically accountability. Curiosity is not the same as consistency. So before you decide what to do with any message, any check-in, any small opening, we need to look at their true intentions, because a message is one thing, but consistency is another. And now we have the Two of Cups. Okay, that is very clear, because if we're asking about their true intentions, the Two of Cups is connection. It is wanting to meet you somewhere emotionally. It is wanting peace. It is wanting to know if there is still a bridge here, even if that bridge is fragile now, but I want to keep this grounded. This person may want connection. Yes, they may want repair. They may want another chance. They may want to feel close to you again, or at least feel like the energy between you is not so heavy. But they are also carrying guilt, pride, fear, the discomfort of knowing they misjudged you and now have to approach a version of you that is not so easily reached. And that matters. Because the Two of Cups can show two people facing each other, but both people have to show up honestly. It cannot just be one person pouring, one person receiving. It cannot just be you understanding them while they stay vague. It cannot just be them sending a small message and expecting you to pretend nothing happened. The cards show potential, but potential is not the same as proof. And I feel like that is your advice here. Watch actions, watch consistency. Watch whether this person can actually stand in front of the truth, or whether they only want the comfort of your energy back. Because you do not have to accept an apology just because someone finally understands your value. You do not have to chase. You do not have to over-explain. You do not have to shrink yourself down to make this person less uncomfortable with your growth. If they come forward, let them reveal themselves. Let them show you whether they are coming with honesty or whether they are just coming because your glow up made them feel left behind. Your silence is not punishment, it is protection. Your glow up is not revenge, it is recovery. And that is why this reading feels so strong, because they thought you would stay in the same emotional place where they left you. They thought your kindness meant you would keep waiting. They thought your patience meant they had endless time. But you changed, you healed, you remembered yourself. And now they are watching someone they once underestimated become someone they cannot ignore. So let them watch if they want to watch. You keep becoming. So I'm going to leave it here. I hope this reading brought clarity, confirmation, and a little bit of peace. If this resonated, you're welcome to like, subscribe, and join me again here at Astral Card Vault. Take only what belongs to you, leave the rest, and I'm sending you love and light.